Good afternoon, welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. It is Thursday, May 24th. Happy birthday to Michael Lemos, Lovey Luch, Frank Granito in studio with John Kovac and Kevin Coleman. Wrapping up a busy day in the FCAC playoffs. We've got boys lacrosse semifinals to cover as the table is set for the championship, as well as baseball, girls tennis, boys tennis champions named, and of course the softball playoffs finally underway. So a lot to keep up with here, but let's start with where we were last night. We had the boys lacrosse semifinals. One game that was pretty entertaining and maybe a bit of a surprise with how impressive one team was. And John, you walked in this morning and said you were still bored from the other game.
It was an impressive showing from Darien, but it was Darien doing what it wanted to do at will, and I felt it was that for the better part of 3 quarters, I think. If not, at least the better part of the second half. And I think you could even see it in the players, as players on both sides just started to get more creative with shots, trying to behind the backs and the wraparounds. But, and it's this, I'm not saying that to take anything away from either team. It was just, it very early on became a foregone conclusion, I think.
We've been talking a lot all year long, Kevin, about everyone in this league is playing for second place. It's Darien and everybody else. Wilton is not that far behind the teams like Ridgefield and New Canaan, especially when you look at what they did in the regular season. But you saw the gap in the 4-1 matchup compared to the 2-3. You're right, John. This was a 1-0 game at the end of the first quarter. They lose 17-5, and at one point in time, Darien literally did whatever they wanted. They're a different kind of monster in the postseason, Kevin. That's the 4th consecutive playoff game now. 5th consecutive playoff game now they've played that has gone to a running clock.
It's unbelievable at this point. I mean, the level of play they're at right now is it's incredible to watch. It's amazing how these athletes come on the field. And you saw Logan McGovern last night. It's great to see him back fully healthy with that right ankle. I know I saw him at the end of the game. He had his right foot literally in the ice bucket ready to go. But he played a great game yesterday. Remember that behind the back goal. And John, you're right. It just seemed like, Darien, they don't get out to slow starts, but they keep it close in that first quarter. And then once the second quarter starts,
they kept it close, but it shouldn't have been that close. And I'm sorry to cut you off, John. It shouldn't have been that close.
Yeah.
There were some big saves by Calabrese, some near misses that they could have converted on. They dominated possession and play in that first quarter. The Warriors were lucky that they were still in that ball game.
It's close because it starts 0-0. And it takes Darien time to move that needle up. But that's why it was close. And because there were a couple of times I said, well, it was close early. And then I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, it started 0-0. It's just, and they just pulled away. There were some plays last night that I'm sure were executed more neatly than they were drawn up on the board.
I thought the play of the night out of both games was the defensive to offensive switch where, there were 2 of them. You had the one where Darby just dumps Connor Drake. He's got his boy Matt Gould picking up the ground ball down the field, and the long pole gets on the board. You could see the frustrations mounting in a player like Connor Drake, who was just outmatched against Andrew Darby yesterday. But then they had the one off the save from Collins, who sends it upfield, hits Joyce in stride, quickly to Somi, over to Minikis, hits McGovern, and then Feifel on the back door. They got rid of that ball so quickly. I was just announcing Minikis had caught a pass when Feifel had caught it and finished the final goal.
One touch all the way up.
It was
the field.
incredible.
And also, Wilton had a similarly impressive play when Andrew Calabrese had the assist on his brother Brian's goal. But Darien has more plays. And Darien has more plays because Darien, despite how good they are and despite how far, they never get lazy.
No.
They are always going to beat you to the ground ball. They are always going to knock the ball out of your stick. They are always going to force the turnover, and they are always going to capitalize on that mistake.
And that's all because of Jeff Braemeier.
I was going to say.
It's all Jeff Braemeier.
Exactly.
He does that. And you go back to that play with Andrew Darby and Matt Gold. Talking to Andrew Darby at the end of the game, he was probably one of the happiest players, running over to Gold, giving him a big hug after he launches a missile into the back of the net. That all starts with Darby just absolutely leveling Connor Drake.
He really did.
It's funny, you mentioned Jeff Braemeier, it all starts there. You caught up with him in halftime, and they said, we just got to keep the pedal to the metal. It's that same pace. So many teams in this league, we said it last night, you've got times where they try to be patient. They're going to try to kill clock. They're going to almost, go blow for blow with another opponent. That's not Darien. It is go, 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 go at all times as we take a look now at the highlights from the Blue Waves 17-5 semifinal victory.
Darien will beat you to the loose ball. They will force you into mistakes. You've got to play perfect lacrosse to beat them.
McGovern trying to create space. Calabrese's out of the cage. Turn around, and he's got his first of the night. Tomorrow, of course, the Darien Lady Blue Wave in girls lacrosse will battle for a 7th consecutive FCAC championship tomorrow. Somi on the board. It's 2-0 Darien. Coming back to the left, got around Scarfy. Turnaround shot, and he goes upstairs.
All Minicus fights his way around Scarfy. Basic.
And taken down from behind, no call. Here's Donano, lets it go, and he scores with a flag flying out. As Drake had his pass taken away. Read absolutely perfectly by Bruce Ferguson. Up ahead for Minikis to McGovern. Oh, baby! As McGovern going back and forth, the jump shot over the shoulder. He's got his 5th.
So just a little dose of what we saw out of the Blue Wave last night. You're right. Seeing McGovern back and as dominant as he is obviously is a great sign for the Blue Wave. He only had 1 goal in that quarterfinal win. They don't need him against a team like Ludlow. They probably didn't need him against a team like Wilton. They'd already beat him once without him. But it just shows you what a different kind of monster this offense is when you've got him, Minikis, Picorni, and Jack Joyce all across the board.
You know what's so impressive about McGovern is, and what impresses me, is he's not the tallest guy in the field. He's one of these shortest guys on the field, in fact. And he's able to beat taller defenders, guys who are bigger than him in size, because of his footwork and his speed. And you see those couple of those goals there where he's wrapping around the net. He's got that quick shot. He can shoot with both hands if he wants to. If he wants to go to the right, he can go to the right. If he wants to switch hands and go to the left, he can go to the left. And again, Logan McGovern is, and I talked to his father at the end of the game, I mean, Bryant University is getting a very talented lacrosse player next year.
You talk about the footwork, and I think that is a place where this starts. And Frank, as a football coach, will know that you talk about it all starts with your base. It all starts with your feet. These Darien guys will come up. They will get in a mirror drill with you. They'll lure you out, and then as soon as you commit one way, they're quick enough on their feet to make that cut and create the space to make a
and
play.
how many times did we see that last night with Brian Minikis? Where
a whole lot.
He'll be patient. He'll wait, and then once the defender bites, he's gone.
Right, and it's like you're not even there with him.
Yep.
They scored 17 goals in a semifinal game. Offense is obviously going to be the star of the show here, but what goes unnoticed again is they held an opponent to 5 goals in their last 3 semifinal and championship games. Last 4 actually, if you include last year's state tournament. They held Cheshire in the state finals to 3 goals, Ridgefield in the FCAC championship to 4, Wilton in the semifinals to 3 and 5 over the past 2 years. A team has not scored more than 5 goals against them in a semifinal or a championship game. It's pretty incredible. And anchoring that defense is the future Michigan Wolverine, the senior Andrew Darby. Kevin caught up with him after the game.
And Andrew Darby, let's talk about your defense today. Going up against Connor Drake, obviously a high talent for the Wilton Warriors. What did you guys have to do to prepare for the Warriors today?
We decided to double pull them. We decided to put me up on Drake and bump down to Shorty on either 3 or 40, and that was the game plan for the day. And he's a great player. It was awesome playing against him.
What kind of second half adjustments did you guys need to make? I mean, you really didn't, but you guys looked like even tighter defense there in that second half.
Yeah, well, we were playing really well 6-on-6 defense in the first half. We knew we had to stop the fast breaks, and I thought we did a fine job with that, but we could still definitely tune that up.
As a defender, how much fun is it to watch this offense go to work?
Oh, it's great. I love cheering them on, and it's awesome seeing all the guys go at it.
Now, 72 games is the winning streak. I have to say, I'm impressed with how you guys handle yourselves. How do you guys not let it be a distraction?
Well, we always treat every game like it's a championship. We always go hard every game, so we don't really think too much about it. We just play our game.
All right, the matchup is set for Friday. You're going up against your rival. How much fun is Friday going to be?
It's going to be fun, yeah. FCX championship, so it's going to be awesome.
Andrew, thanks for the time.
Yeah, thank you.
So Darien will play for a 5th consecutive FCAC championship. They'll square off with their arch rival who played against Ridgefield in the first semifinal, and we'll talk more about that game when we get back after the break on Nutmeg Sports.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Our Ram trucks get the job done with unparalleled style and performance. Call, click, or stop in to find the new Jeep, Chrysler Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck that you've been looking for. Family owned and operated for over 50 years. Save thousands right now at the Jeep Celebration event and Chrysler Pacifica Incredible Sales event. Now through May 31st.
Winter's finally in the rearview mirror, and the Dock Shop is ready to help you usher in our favorite season, summer. We've got new offerings in our usual products: clothing, jewelry, home decor, fishing tackles, and boating supplies. And now the Dock Shop does in-house laser engraving. You can add a name, a boat name, latitude, longitude, an image to drinkware, serving platters, boards, or decorative accessories. No minimum, fast turnaround. Stop in today and start your summer. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
If you've ever thought about owning a motor coach or learning about what it's like to travel the open road in superior style and comfort, then contact Dave's RV Center in Danbury, Connecticut. Offering the best quality Class A motorhomes from Newmar, travel trailers and fifth wheel lines from Surveyor, and a toy hauler line from Work and Play. Choose from Newmar's Gas Line, Baystar and Canyon Star, or from Newmar's Diesel Line, Ventana and Dutch Star. And with unparalleled service and maintenance, Dave's RV is committed to keeping you and your motor coach safely on the road and enjoying it to the fullest. Stop by their showroom, 2 Industrial Plaza Road, Danbury, Connecticut, or call 877-483-3866.
So the Darien Blue Wave are in the FCAC Championship. They will square off with number 2 New Canaan, who was very impressive in their win over the Ridgefield Tigers. A Ridgefield offense with the return of Greg Gatto that many saw as a top 2 offense in this entire league, but they were stymied last night, Kevin, as the Rams defense and goaltender Carl Mazabras just giving the Tigers nothing at that end of the field.
And it was really impressive. I talked to Chip Buzzio, and I was getting a feel for it before the game, what he was feeling about his defense. And the one thing that stood out to me, and we mentioned during the broadcast, is that he had everyone back healthy. Walker Keurer came back. He was finally healthy, battling a little bit of injury during the season. Good to have him back as one of the long poles. But Carl Mazabras was lights out yesterday, making some great saves on some tough shots that were put up by the Ridgefield Tigers. But as a whole, this defense, and Chip Buzzio mentioned it at halftime, he was so happy to see that, yes, he said Greg Gatto is going to get his goals. But if we're able to shut down guys like Reed Kagan, John Mathis, guys like that, who build that great chemistry with the Tigers throughout the regular season, then that's a win for us. And Gatto had 2 in that first half, and they'll take that. I think Chip Buzzio was happy with what he saw in the entire performance, especially in that first half performance from the Rams.
You obviously have got Chase Strupp as the anchor on that back line, the lone senior back there, but you look at the depth for New Canaan with guys like Jackson Braden, Walker Kerr, George Dumbold, all juniors contributing in big ways on that back end, John. And in the midfield, he ran 2 lines. He had 5 attackmen going up front. Coach Buzzio is using that depth to his advantage, and I think it did wear down the front line specifically for Ridgefield, who just looked tired at points in time during that game as we finally had a hot day to play lacrosse in.
Yeah, I think the weather definitely a factor, and I think New Canaan's depth a factor. That's what sets Darien and New Canaan apart, is that they're deep. They can run 2-3 lines at you. What impressed me last night is we've talked throughout the season about New Canaan's patience on offense. New Canaan's, wait for that perfect shot. I don't think we saw that last. I think we saw a faster pace. I think we saw more eagerness and more willingness to shoot the ball. And I think it paid off in a balanced attack last night.
You had 8 different Rams score a goal in this game, just Owen Shin and Quentin O'Connell, the only multi-goal scorers for New Canaan. So the fact that you're getting contributions up and down the lineup, from guys like O'Connell all the way down to a Matt Costco in that second unit. You get that kind of contribution, and that's what you're going to need to hang with a team like Darien, because this time around, don't expect Quentin O'Connell to be scoring 4 or 5 goals in a row. I would imagine Andrew Darby is going to be matched up with O'Connell this time. I think Braymeyer is going to respect the individual ability and efforts of O'Connell a little bit more in round 2.
I think they double team him. I honestly think they mark him with 2 and let somebody else beat you.
That'll be interesting to see. Let's look back at the Rams' 10-6 win over the Tigers in the first semifinal from Wednesday night.
Good defense by Sam Parmalee.
Yeah, Parmalee just took him off his feet.
Here's Owen Shin. Pass handcuff Mangus. Shot on goal. They score. As Mathis now does get it to Gatto. Getting free for the shot. He's on the board. And they will face guard O'Connell behind the cage as Dearth not giving him any room to breathe. Big shot here, and it finds the back of the twine as Rechterman's on the board. That's the clock at 3 seconds. Dearth up ahead. He's got room to shoot. He scores!
Just a fraction of a second on the clock, Frank.
We know how good they are defensively, but for New Canaan, you're seeing them still just try and work the high percentage shot here, try and get something going.
Good look in front. It's Matt Costco.
You don't get any more high percentage.
10-6 the final, a couple of goals late there. It was 10-3 in the fourth quarter before the Tigers tried to get themselves back into that one. But again, 10 saves for the junior goaltender, Carl Mazabras. He got to play the whole game. As we now know, Bennett Ong is done for this tournament and most likely the state tournament. But you've got to feel confident with the way that Carl is playing right now.
10 saves, came up big every time he was asked. I was confident in him, seeing him at half, when he was playing half of a game. I think he earned it. I think Chip Buzzio had the luxury of being able to go to either or, really having 2 number ones.
Well, when talking to him before the game, Chip was saying how, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been saying it all year.
Yeah, and it's not like, one's a senior and one's a freshman. These are 2 young players that are still developing. They will be back on this roster next year, and that is a great problem to have.
Oh, it is. It is. I mean, he's already stood up to the best in the FCAC, and you're getting him back. And they've both shown they can do it.
No, and they were fully committed to. They were going to go both those goalies through the whole tournament if they were healthy. Let's hear what Carl had to say as the junior goaltender caught up with Kevin after the big win.
All right, Frank, thank you very much. Carl, first things first, you guys are able to shut down, especially in that first half, against a Richfield team that has a lot of scoring threats. Talk about how proud you are of your defense.
I think we played a really good game. We really took control of them on the defensive side. We really pushed out. We really controlled, actually, the defense. Like, they couldn't run their offense like they should be. I mean, we dominated on ground balls. We really we pushed out, and we really didn't let anybody get the ball that was dangerous. And I think Chase Strupp, he had a phenomenal game playing number 7. He just phenomenal game. He shut him down the whole game.
Now Richfield scored that quick goal there right before half, and I even asked their coach, is that a momentum builder? And he thought it was. You guys came out of the locker room, and you guys build off of that goal that Richfield scored. Just talk about that second half performance from your Rams.
I mean, second half, we really just came out we just need to keep playing our game. We played a great first half. I mean, we just need to keep it going in the second half.
Now, leading up to this game, what's been the message with this Rams team? It seems like you guys have been clicking so well chemistry-wise.
I mean, family. That's been our word. It's just family, family, family. We love each other. Oh, we're from seniors to freshmen. We all love each other.
Are you ready for Friday?
Absolutely.
Carl, thanks for the time, man. Frank, back to you.
Tomorrow's game was originally scheduled for 7 p.m. It has been moved up to 4 o'clock because New Canaan and Darien are afraid of the dark. You
in a way
will know that the Rams and Darien first met in an FCAC championship game in 1993. New Canaan won that game. This will be the 8th time the 2 schools have met with the conference title on the line. Darien has won all 6 meetings since 1993.
Unbelievable. I think we're
a lot of streaks being ridden into this game.
A lot of streaks, a lot of storylines. I think tomorrow we're going to go back to what we saw on April 28th, a very close game. New Canaan, I still have that feeling that they're that one team that can really, they're the ones that could break the streak here for Darien.
Better chance for them to break the streak tomorrow night or to get them in states?
I think in states.
I think that's the luxury for New Canaan because they get to see him another time, so they get to kind of game plan for that too. If they get to see each other,
they would meet in the semifinals of the state tournament. That bracket was released. We'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to preview the girls lacrosse championship. There were baseball semifinals last night. Plenty to do when we get back on Nutmeg Sports.
Voted Best Gourmet to Go in Fairfield County, Palmer's extensive menu offers everything you'll need to make your next event easy and delicious. Whether you're hosting a small get-together or planning a large celebration, they've got you covered breakfast through dessert. Order online at palmersdarien.com or call 203-655-2077. Voted.
Want to free up backyard space, or are you just sick of looking at your deteriorating pool? Call Grillo Pool Removal today, the in-ground pool fill-in experts. Pay a fraction of the cost in pool remodel by filling it in with our experienced crew. Available 7 days a week by call or text. Find out more at GrilloPoolRemoval.com.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HN Network. John Kovach and Frank Granito alongside. Frank, we had some baseball last night. Let's step away from lacrosse a little bit, touch into some baseball real quick.
3 men in this room, and one of our predictions at the start of the year is still standing as we head to the FCI Championship in baseball tonight.
And you know, Danbury, I had them. Well, Richfield, obviously my first pick. They dropped an egg in the quarterfinals. It was an 18-3, and then you got next pick was Danbury, and what happens? They fell to Staples. So you're looking at a great tournament so far. These are the two teams, Frank, and you can agree with me. I think Darien, Staples. These are the two teams. Going back a couple weeks ago, we said, all right, this could be a championship preview, and we had it on the HN Network, and I think these two teams rightfully deserve to be in this game.
We had it. They were both sitting at the top of the conference at that time. Obviously, Darien takes a beating there from Staples in that first meeting, John, but it was their 5th game in 5 days. They were out of pitchers. That won't be the case tonight when the two meet at Kubetta Stadium.
We talk about riding the hot pitcher in the playoffs. In 2 games, Darien's given up 2 hits, 1 in each. That's tough to beat.
It is, but now you will not have Williams or Jordan available to pitch tonight. There are still plenty of capable guys to go on that mound. You have to figure we're going to see Chad Knight on the other side for Staples. And the good news for the Wreckers, it's been the usual suspects and their big names who have been producing through the first 2 rounds of this tournament.
You expect to see Chad Knight on the bump tonight, and you know, it is tough because, you know, if you're Coach Mike Scott and you're looking at it this way, we want to get into this championship game, and if it means we have to waste our 2 best pitchers, so be it. I think you just want to get into this game. Anything can happen in a 1 game, especially when it comes to baseball.
The fact that it's a 1-game championship changes that, and you can, and we've seen it before, exhaust your top pitchers, your 1 and your 2, and then roll the dice and manufacture some runs in the final.
And you know what, Darien, even though they may not have their 2 aces on the mound, they still have the ability at the plate, and we've seen it all season long. You know, you're still going to have Henry Williams and Justin Jordan at the top of that lineup. Still, Darien has a great opportunity to do some big things tonight.
Both these teams have played very low-scoring affairs through the first 2 rounds of this tournament in both their games. Is this now the point where one of these offenses breaks out, or we reach the lull in the pitching staff where they're vulnerable? Or do you see this as being a 1-2 run game with the total being under 4?
No, I see this going above 4. I think you're going to see both offenses go to work. Even though Chad Knight's on the mound, this is still not an easy lineup to go up against. And, you know, I think Chad Knight's proved himself in big spots, certainly last year as well, coming up big as a junior. And this year as well, he's already hit a home run. He hit a home run last night at Cubeta. And I think he lives up to the pressure and for big game moments. But I still think you're going to see runs, a lot of runs tonight from both sides.
I do think it's a 1-2 run game. I just think it's more than 4 runs.
Yeah.
Well, that's one positive, too, that's kind of going under the radar here about playing at Cubeta. We actually get to see home runs because do you remember the last time a ball went out of the park at Harbor Yard?
In an FCAC game? No.
Yeah. That game's 7 o'clock tonight. You know I'm staying with Darien. I'm riding them all the way. I think it's going to take a big effort because Staples has been the favorite from start to finish. They've been the best team for the majority of the year. They have the most weapons, but will there be a little bit of added pressure on this Wreckers team? Because realistically, you got to think the Blue Wave is playing with house money tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're relaxed. I think Darien's very relaxed. You know, 2 games where they only allowed 2 hits. You know, this is a very confident team coming into the championship game, and I think the one benefit you have is if you're Staples, you got Chad Knight going.
It's big. I have seen Staples look shaky because I was there when they played up at Ridgefield.
Yep.
But, you know, I've also seen them look very, very strong. Who do we get tonight?
I go Darien, and you know what? Again, got to give a big shout out to Mike Scott. What a great job he does year in and year out when it comes to the playoffs.
Always.
And my dark horse pick tonight, you know, we talked about Henry Williams and Justin Jordan. Sean O'Malley. I think he's gonna pop off.
I think he needs to step up and have a big game.
He does.
I really think he has got to contribute big for the Blue Wave if they're gonna win this game.
I agree. He's my dark horse pick. If it comes down to a big hit late in the game, and if it comes down to either team, I got O'Malley. You know, maybe popping one over the fence.
7 p.m. at Cubeta. The FCX softball quarterfinals got underway yesterday. Big wins from the top 4 seeds. Ludlow over Staples 10-4. Norwalk taking it on the chin from Stanford 15-3. Trumbull beats Ward 7-0. Most interesting game, though, yesterday, St. Joe's and Danbury. Want to spend a minute on this because I think it's good for St. Joe's to get tested like this. If they're going to have a shot now against Ludlow, they got that scare out of them, and they're sort of that little reality check we always talk about. But this Danbury team, this Danbury class in particular, was a lot of fun to follow along with this year. Is now, you know, they're officially done with their FCAC pursuits here. But there were a lot of special athletes in this group. The Danbury squad for softball had a really, really good year. I think they're positioned in the right spot moving forward in the future, and I do think they can do some damage in states as well, Kevin.
I agree with that. And, you know, I think that all starts with Shay McNamara. She's the senior leader on this squad, the captain. You know, you look back at that game we did in Stanford, and she made one of the greatest catches I think we've seen in softball. And, you know, that deserves to be on a highlight reel. But for Danbury, I agree. They have the good pieces ahead. They have some good young talent coming through. And I agree, St. Joe's needs a little scare like this, especially going up against a very talented Ludlow team. I think this is going to motivate them, put a little chip on their shoulder.
Semifinals being played this afternoon. Ludlow and St. Joe's go first at 3 o'clock. Then you've got Trumbull and Stanford at 5 p.m. Who do you see in the championship for that tournament?
It's tough to not pick St. Joe's because they're always there. But this might be the year. You know what? I'm going to go chalk.
I'm going to agree too, because I want to see Trumbull and St. Joe's have a crack at it again, because that was a great game during the regular season. I want to see these two teams go at it in the final.
Your chalk is different from John's because he's
My
got
chalk's
Ludlow.
1-2.
He's got Ludlow.
1-2. I'm saying you see the 1-2 seeds.
No, not happening.
I got Stanford with an upset.
See, I knew you were doing that.
I'm going Stanford with the upset. I love it. Black Knights, baby.
Would not surprise me. I mean, I've seen them look very strong.
I think they're getting hot at the right time. I think Kim Saunders has an absolute day. Trumbull is due for a loss if there's such a thing in the FCA.
No, that's a good pick. I like that. You agree. Kim Saunders has been great. When we saw her a couple weeks ago, she was filthy on the mound, so I like that pick too.
And after that, she throws a perfect game. All right, FCAC Championship Girls Lacrosse tonight. It's on the HN Network from Norwalk High at 7 o'clock. Wilton Darien. This is a rematch of last year's state championship game in Class L. What do the Warriors have to do to stop the 6-time defending FCX champion Darien Blue Wave?
It's plain and simple, and John, you'll agree with me on this because we saw it the other day. Eva Greco in the draw circle, it has to win face-offs against Katie Ramsey. They're both pretty much the same height. I think that's what hurt Greenwich at the end of the day in the semifinals with Genevieve DeWinter. I think it comes down to Wilton has to win the face-offs, plain and simple.
Yeah, it's draw control.
Yeah.
Who's going to start? Who's going to dictate? Because if Wilton can keep the ball away from that Darien offense, and you can keep the Humphrey sisters,
Yeah.
away from, double digits in combined scoring, you're going to have a chance.
6 consecutive FCX titles for Darien. This is the 8th straight championship game that they are playing in, which would mean they lost the first one during this streak. The team that beat them, the Wilton Warriors. They are the last team to hold the FCX crown before Darien. We will see if that changes tonight. Big shout out to Staples, who took home the boys and girls tennis titles yesterday. We will have a special piece with the girls tennis squad next week early on, so make sure you stay tuned with us for that. We're back tonight, 7 o'clock, Girls Lacrosse Championship. We got the boys tomorrow afternoon. Playoffs roll on the HAN Network. We'll see you next time.